Hello friend, how are you? Today I'm talking about healthy breakfast options. I've been getting this question time and time again. I've been getting so many questions about breakfast, and I've been getting a lot of questions from vegans, I've been getting a lot of questions from vegetarians, I've been getting a lot of questions from paleo, from pescatarians, or from people just wanting to change it up and see what's healthy for them. And when it comes to breakfast, it's difficult because of our time restraints, because we want to be healthy, or because we're not sure what there is to get, or we're rushing out the door. There are so many different things going on when it comes to breakfast. So I wanted to kind of help you, and I wanted to give you some ideas and give you some suggestions how best to create your breakfast. And what proteins to use, what fats to use, what carbohydrates to use. So I've got some notes here. So I'll be looking down. I've got notes here just so I don't forget anything, because sometimes I go off in a tangent and I do forget. So I've got my notes here, and I'm going to go through them, and hopefully today I will be able to help you come up with some really great breakfast suggestions for yourself, which are easy, which are quick, which are tasty, and I'd love to hear your ideas. So if you've got any questions, please post them below. If you've got any breakfast suggestions or your favourite breakfasts, post them below, let me know. So I'm going to take you through some breakfast solutions, and I'm going to talk to you first about what some of the most common things are people do have for breakfast, and you know, what could be an issue for them and what to look out for. What could be an issue with this particular breakfast? So for example, you know, common breakfasts are toast with Vegemite, oats in the morning. Some people have yogurt with fruit. So you know, all of those can be healthy, but they're not necessarily healthy for everybody. So the issue with, say, having oats is quite a high starchy food. It's, you know, low protein, low fat, so it's quite high starch food, and we know that starch turns to sugar in the body. So some people who don't have any metabolic issues, don't have any cortisol issues, don't have any blood sugar issues, some people will be fine with, sorry, I'm just seeing if I can see the notes down here. Oh, I can't see, it's gone. So just playing around with the function. So, you know, some people will be okay having oats in the morning, but some people won't. So for instance, if you're having, say, oats or muesli every single day, and you're feeling hungry, you're craving sugar, you've got chronic respiratory problems or chronic sinusitis, or mucousy problems, or sneezing all the time, then I would definitely rethink your breakfast. So if what you're doing right now isn't supporting you, if your breakfast isn't supporting your health goals, so whether your health goals are weight loss, whether your health goals are more energy, whether your health goals are fertility, whatever your health goal is, your diet needs to be supporting your health goal. So for example, if you're having oats every single day and you feel fantastic, you're really fantastic, and your weight's exactly where you want it to be, you're not trying to do anything with your weight, then oats work for you. However, if you have oats every single day and you've got belly weight that you just can't get rid of, then you need to change up your oats. So really, changing up your breakfast is about not only what you can do, but it also is about your goal. Everybody's goal is different. So think about what your main goals are when it comes to your health and well-being. What is it you want to achieve? Where is it you see yourself in 3 to 6 months in a year? What are your primary goals? What are your priorities when it comes to your health? And then everything else that you need to do will kind of fall into place, and breakfast will fall into place there as well. So when it comes to common breakfast, let's look at toast and Vegemite. I mean, toast and Vegemite, when we look at kind of eating and we look at putting energy in you, toast isn't really a nutritious food. It doesn't have tons and tons of vitamins in. It doesn't have, you know, good fats. It might have a little bit of fiber, but it's not the healthiest thing to have. So to support your health and well-being, if you're just having toast and Vegemite, that's not a great thing in the morning. You want to start mixing that up. And if you do want to have toast, start putting things on it like really good quality butter or avocado or even a nut butter, so at least you're getting a little bit more of nutritional content on your toast in the morning. If you are having oats and you're like, I don't want to change, I want to have oats, I love my oats, maybe start adding things in that are actually adding more health benefits, such as you could add in some pumpkin seeds, You could add in some goji berries. You could add in some chia seeds. You could add in a little bit of a drizzle of maybe some coconut oil. You know, start layering. You know, if you don't want to change what you're doing, if you're having oats every day and you're like, Naomi, oats suits me, I don't want to change my oats, then layer up to add more nutrition, because oats don't have lots of nutrition, especially the rolled oats, they're processed. You know, if you've got oat groats, yes, there's more nutrition, but a bowl of oats, I mean, yeah, it's got starch in, yes, it's got a few amino acids in, but it's not like, it's not full of nutrition. So layer it up, add some sesame seeds, add some pepitas, add some Brazil nuts, add some goji berries, add maybe a little bit of coconut yogurt. You know, start layering things up. And the same goes with your toast. If you're like, Naomi, I want to have my toast. I really love my toast. I don't need to change my breakfast. Go away. Start layering your toast up. So, you know, avocado or butter, because then at least you're getting your fat soluble vitamins, or a nut butter. So that's what I would recommend doing if you really are stuck in what you're doing or stuck in your ways and you don't want to change what you're doing, but you do want to get a little bit more nutrition out of your breakfast and you want to get it lasting you longer. You know, you want your breakfast to last you from breakfast until lunchtime. So those are kind of two of the most common ones that I see people having for breakfast. We've got the toast, we've got the oats. Another one is fruit. So some people will just have fruit in the morning, and you know, that's okay for some people. Some people can get away with a bit of fruit in the morning, but the issue is if you just have fruit for breakfast, you're giving your body a whole load of sugar, a heap load of sugar in the morning, and it really needs to deal with that. It needs your liver needs to deal with the fruit, your gut needs to deal with the fruit, your blood sugar, your glucose, everything needs to deal with that fruit. So you do need to be careful with fruit in the morning. That's the one thing I would say I would change. If you're having just fruit for breakfast, and you're finding you're not losing weight, or you're finding you're getting hungry an hour later, or you're finding your energy is dropping, or you've got fatty liver. If you've got fatty liver, you definitely should not be having fruit in the morning. So any of those things going on, I would recommend you don't have fruit. And again, you can layer the fruit. You can put a bit of yogurt in there if you want, or you could have fruit with nuts. But I would say fruit's a treat breakfast. Having a bowl of fruit is like, that's your treat. That's your once a week, maybe your Sunday, maybe, you know, every so often. That's that breakfast that you really look forward to, and that's kind of a treat for you, because fruit, you know, it is sugar, it is fructose, it is glucose, and your body does have to deal with it. And particularly if you've got weight problems, it's not going to support you losing weight, particularly if your weight is due to blood sugar fluctuations. Now, there are some people that do well on fruit, that don't have any blood sugar issues. And if you're one of those people, lucky you. Because I know with me, if I have fruit in the morning, I'm hungry like half an hour later, and I get a bit cranky if I don't eat. So I need to have a really solid breakfast. So my advice to you first and foremost is look at what you're doing, look at what your health goals are, if they're weight loss, if it's energy, just overall well-being, if it's to, you know, cure a chronic illness, pain, whatever it is. Look at what your goals are, look at what you're doing right now, and then look at what occurs when you do have your breakfast. You know, once you've had your breakfast, when are you next hungry? How long does breakfast energize you for? Do you feel good after breakfast? Do you feel satisfied after breakfast? And look at all of those signs and look out for those to see how you actually feel. So when it comes to breakfast, when it comes to the ideal breakfast, what we want to be doing is we want to be supporting it with protein, with a little bit of carb, with a little bit of fat, with fiber. We want to be creating a meal that's supporting us to lunchtime. So for instance, you're having breakfast at 7 or 8. We want that to last us till about 12 o'clock. So what you need to be doing is you need to be focusing in on that breakfast and making sure it's got the right macronutrients that are going to support you through to lunch. So let's look at protein. Let's look at good proteins. Let's look what you can add in, because I had a few questions about proteins. So with protein, when it comes to animal protein, it's kind of easy, because animal protein is literally just protein. It's a little bit of fat. So with animal protein, we've got bacon, we've got sausage, we've got chicken thigh. So Megan, I was saying, so if you like oats And if you don't like oats, oh, if you don't like oats, don't eat oats, because oats aren't, yeah, that's all right. If you don't like oats, that's good. We'll talk about other options, but definitely, you know, oats are what people tend to go to for a breakfast, but oats aren't necessarily supporting because they're really high sugar. They're super, super high starch. And unless you're having oat groats, those rolled oats, those processed oats, they're going to whack your blood sugar up super, super high, get your insulin or triggering, you know, and all of that happening first thing. So if you don't like oats, so eggs are okay. So going through sort of the protein options, eggs are definitely a good protein source. If you're a meat eater, you can look at sausages, you can look at bacon. A chicken thigh is really good. Like a chicken thigh is kind of the perfect size for breakfast. So a chicken... I didn't put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Sorry about that, folks. I didn't put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Hopefully no one will call me. That's what that was if you wondered why I clicked out. So anyway, what was I saying? So eggs, sausage, bacon, a chicken thigh, they're really good protein sources. Also sardines, if you buy the sardines already gutted, so you go to your local fishmonger and they normally have a little packet this big of sardines. 2 of those for breakfast. They take 3 minutes to cook. 3 minutes on the pan. 3 minutes is nothing. So 3 minutes to cook, and you can have those with a bit of avocado, a bit of veg, or a bit of leftover food from the night before. It's really, really quick. And the beautiful thing about sardines, there are lots and lots of essential fatty acids in. Then they're low tox as well. They're like a low tox fish. So I'd highly recommend sardines as a really good protein source. Some people eat tuna cans. You know, if you're going to eat tuna from a can for lunch or breakfast, you definitely, I've just got to turn my heating down. My aircon's gone a bit, it's getting a bit hot in here. Turn that down a wee bit. Bit hot, I could hear it blowing. So, you know, doing tuna cans, you really don't want to do tuna any more than once a fortnight. You definitely don't want to be doing it multiple times a week because of its high tox content. It's probably not from a good source. It's probably got mercury in, and then also got tin and BPA from the can. So really don't do tuna as a health food. Tuna is your sort of, oh dear, I haven't got any food. That's all I've got in the cupboard. This will have to make do. Occasionally I give my cats a little bit of tuna, but I wouldn't give my cats tuna that often actually. I probably give my cats a can of tuna once every 3 months. And I don't eat tuna myself, or I wouldn't go near tuna. So that's where it comes, and also smoked fish is good. So using herring or mackerel, you can get that already smoked fish, and if it's been smoked well and it's low tox, that's a really good breakfast option. Yeah, so so Jacqueline, I mean, oats are good. I mean, definitely you can use oats and have them in the cupboard. And I'm not going to lie to you, sometimes, particularly when I'm going through a phase in the month where I feel like I need a little bit more carb, I will make myself an oat breakfast, but it's just maybe once a month or once every 2 months I do that. And it's just once every so often I feel like it. But what I tend to do is I add a little bit more to it to make it more of a satisfying meal. So when I do my oats, because I only do it once every couple of months, I warm my oats through with some almond milk. I add a little bit of double cream. Then I add some seeds, pepitas, and I add some chia. And then I may add a little bit of chopped date, like 1 chopped date, a little bit. And I normally, that's all I do. And then I will serve that up, and maybe I'll put some coconut yogurt or something on top. So what I've done is, then I've made myself, it's got, you know, it's got lots of good fats. It's also got the starch from the oats, and then it's also got the protein from the pepitas. And so I make it into like this really great meal that sustains me, and that lasts till lunchtime. And I do that, like I say, maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months. And I always add, just because I love doing it, I always add a little bit of cream. I went to, I've stayed at a B&B, the Argyle actually, in, where was it? I stayed in the Blue Mountains, B&B called the Argyle. Scottish lady was running it. She's been over here for a long time, but she runs it, and she does traditional Scottish oats. And so on that they put the shot of whiskey. They have the oats, and then over that the kind of the shot of whiskey. The danger of having oats every day, like I say, is it can cause belly bloat. It can cause fat gain around the middle, and it can make you a little bit of insulin resistance. But once every week, occasionally, it's fine. It's fine to do. There's nothing wrong with having oats occasionally, no problem. And you know, but I wouldn't suggest doing the whiskey on it. The Scotch, sorry, I should say Scotch. The Scotch over it that often. But it was a beautiful, cute little B&B actually, really nice. Okay. So we talked about, so eggs are good as a protein. I wouldn't have eggs more than I would do eggs twice a week. If you're doing anything like a pork or a pig, like bacon or sausages, I definitely again wouldn't have those more than 3 times a week. And then I would do fish once or twice a week. If you want to come away from having the animal kind of protein and you're more into vegan or vegetarian kind of protein, you can have a look at your nuts and your seeds, and you can have a look at non-gluten-free, gluten-free grains. Make sure, Erin, make sure you finish your oats if you're eating them now. Don't put them in the bin yet. Eat them first. Occasionally they're fine, just not every day. Not every day, but we'll talk about that. Yeah, the Scottish do like the oats. And that was the whole thing with oats. We think about this, and this is why during winter it's good to come away from the green smoothies. So I'm going to talk about green smoothies as a breakfast option. But if you think about, we do need that warming up, and that's why, you know, oats in Scotland, it's cold, they say they stick to your ribs, they kind of like fill you up, and they do if they're traditionally made, traditionally soaked. The issue that's happened over the years is that weight loss programs, and when people have done Weight Watchers, they do the oats with water. And so because that reduces the caloric intake, and the problem with oats with water is you've just got this starchy meal. There's no fat soluble vitamins, there's no good fats in there, and so it kind of changes the way that what that meal does and the nutritional content of that meal as well. So it's about layering with breakfast, particularly if you haven't got time to do this whole meal, just layering up and always making sure you're sort of adding things. When it comes to your vegan and when it comes to your vegetarian, the highest protein, these are the highest protein things, foods for vegans and vegetarians. So almonds and pepitas are the 2 highest protein nuts. So I would always make sure you've got a little bit of almond or pepita. Some people like to use organic LSA because that's got a bit of protein in, but definitely I would use almonds. You could use them already activated, or you could have them ground up and you could just sprinkle over. You could make your own mix. Pepitas, pumpkin seeds are the highest protein, so I would always add those in. And then I would always add some sesame seeds. I would always have some sesame seeds that I would sprinkle over. You can also use a little bit of tempeh. So tempeh is fermented tofu. Now we do talk about tofu and soy, and it does come up high on the food intolerance list, but using a little bit of tempeh occasionally is okay. So if you are a vegetarian, you can use a little bit of tempeh. You'll also notice at your local health food stores, so if you're around in the eastern suburbs, you'll notice at Coco's in Maruba Junction sells this mung bean tempeh. So it's made of mung bean, it's like it's been fermented, so it digests really well. You don't need much of that. You can just slice off a couple of slices, you can just kind of heat it up, and you can have that maybe with some avocado, or maybe with a little bit of sweet potato if you're a vegan. So there are options for vegans, but definitely looking at your seeds, your pumpkin seeds, definitely looking at your almonds. When it comes to things like buckwheat, amaranth and quinoa, if you're on a weight loss diet, if you're trying to lose weight, you just have to be aware that these things, they do have proteins, but they're also super high in starch. So starch is a starchy carb component. And even though starch isn't pure glucose, starch will, if you have too much of it, build up and cause a little bit of fat around the midriff. So if you've got any belly weight, you know, just below, just above your belly button. Is tempeh? No. Okay. Thanks, Linda. I'll get to that in a sec. If you've got weight above your belly button, then it is an indication you've got some blood sugar issues. So you do need to be careful with starchy carbs. I would highly recommend, if you've got any weight above your belly button, you're trying to lose weight around your rib cage, I would recommend actually doing carb-free breakfast. So doing protein, fat kind of breakfast to help lose the weight there, and then just see how you go. So quinoa, buckwheat and amaranth all have around 35 grams of starch per 100. So we're looking at around, 30% starchy carbs. So just go light on it. I would recommend, have like quarter of a cup of the quinoa, or quarter of a cup of the buckwheat, and then just layer it up with maybe some seeds, maybe some coconut yogurt, that kind of thing. Just change the combination up of the macronutrients. I would definitely do that if you're vegetarian. Those are the main. I'll just make sure. So I talked about almonds and seeds, and then doing the tempeh. And Linda's asked a really great question. Is tempeh a no-no for Hashimoto's sufferers? So when it comes to Hashimoto's, one of the things we're looking at obviously is thyroid. Another thing is leaky gut. So leaky gut is normally one of the biggest triggers, one of the biggest reasons we can't heal from Hashimoto's. And leaky gut is caused by a number of different things, but it can also be caused by food intolerance. And Linda, you're right. Soy can be up there, and tempeh is soy. So you could either get tested, get a food intolerance test to confirm, or just keep soy out altogether. I would probably keep soy out for about 3 months. I would definitely, if you've got Hashimoto's, I would definitely keep dairy, soy, wheat, and even eggs out for up to 12 weeks to just give the gut a rest. So what does that leave? That leaves kind of like an egg-free paleo kind of diet for you, Linda. So we're looking at sort of your meats, maybe almonds, maybe seeds, that kind of diet with lots and lots of leafy greens and vegetables for you. But if you do that, that will give the gut a chance to heal. The gut can heal super quick if you give it the right environment. You don't have to be spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on the newest things to put into your gut, all these powders that are out there. Just take away what's causing the leaky gut, deal with any parasites, take away the foods, give it some extra zinc, maybe give it a little bit of glutamine or a little bit of slippery elm, and that should be enough. That should be enough for it. So we've talked about meat options, but definitely you want to be doing them about 3 times a week, no more than 3 times a week. If you're doing eggs, I recommend eggs twice a week. If you've got a really good gut, no gut issues, then you could do eggs a little bit more. But if you do have gut issues, I wouldn't do it any more than twice a week. And then for your vegetarian day, because I would really recommend doing a vegetarian day, you definitely want to look at something with a bit of protein in. So you could either do your almonds or your seeds, you could do your quinoa, your buckwheat. I love using amaranth. Amaranth is slightly lower starch than all the others. It's lower starch than quinoa, it's lower starch than buckwheat. Buckwheat is higher starch. Amaranth comes in those tiny little balls. They're really tiny, but they're kind of an Ayurvedic herb. They're used in, and they're really beautiful at cleansing the digestive system. So you could always do, like maybe once a week, do a bit of a porridge with amaranth. So soak the amaranth overnight, maybe cook it up in a little bit of almond milk, or cook it up in a little bit of coconut milk and water, make it nice and smooth, add some clove, add some cinnamon, add some cardamom, maybe add a tiny bit of honey if you want to, or maple syrup, and just get it in kind of a smooth consistency. You'll want to just simmer it for about 15-20 minutes to cook it down really nicely, and that will make a really high protein kind of porridge instead of using the oats. So that's a really nice thing to do for your once a week, your vegetarian day once a week. That's a really great thing for vegans and vegetarians to do. And like I say, it's a little bit higher protein than, say, buckwheat. Buckwheat does have a lot of starch. It does have a lot of starchy carb in. So if you consume a lot of buckwheat, you will find it will go to the belly area. And then to remember that when you are making up your meals, making sure you are adding a little bit of fat. So when you do your porridges or when you do your amaranth, add a teaspoon or 2 of coconut oil and just cook that through, or coconut milk, because that fat will sustain you through the day, and that fat will give you energy. If you do like me and you have something like an egg, or you're having something like a sausage, don't be afraid to add half an avocado to that. You can also add some vegetables, or you can add a little bit of sweet potato to that. So you can kind of like make a little bit of a meal. I normally, on a small plate for my breakfast, I might have like half an avocado, 1 egg. I might have a few bits of roast potato, sweet potato that I've already cooked. So I cook my sweet potato in bulk. I keep it in the fridge and then I use it for breakfast that week. You know, I use it through the week, and it's always there for me. And then I tend to just, my simplest breakfast is 1 egg, half an avocado, 1 zucchini that I slice up and I quickly just heat up and stir fry, and that's my breakfast, and that's enough for me because that half an avocado is super filling, and that will actually get me through to lunch because I've worked out kind of what works for me, what gets me through, what will support me. And that will support me. I won't have any sugar cravings or carb cravings with that. That will get me through to lunchtime. You know, we're coming up to 12:30 and I'm starting to get a little bit hungry now. But it's done fine up till now, and I've had clients all morning and it's been perfectly fine up to now. This morning I had half an avocado, I had 1 sausage that I pre-cooked because I didn't have time to cook it this morning. It was pre-cooked yesterday and I whacked it in the oven, quickly heated it up. So I had half an avocado this morning. I had 1 grass-fed gluten-free sausage. And then I had a couple of bits of roast vegetables that I did last night. So those roast vegetables, it was like half a cup of some beetroot, some fennel, some carrot, those kind of veggies, and that's what I had for breakfast. And again, that has got me through to now, and it's lasted really well for me. With the protein, you want to be having with the protein, you know, 2 eggs, 1 sausage, 1 chicken thigh, half a cup of almonds, you know, half a cup to a cup of something like quinoa or amaranth. So those are the kind of protein you want to be having, between 80 and 120 grams of protein with your serving at sort of breakfast, and you have your veggies as well. So just see how you go with that. And other fat things you can use, so you can use avocado. You can put a little bit, you can saute your vegetables in butter. You can put butter on your toast if you want to add a little bit of fat. You can also use coconut yogurt because that's a little bit fatty. So you can play around with the different fat sources. You could even add olives. If you're doing a savory breakfast, you could even add like 1/4 cup of olives, and that can be your fat source. And if it's black olives are high in iron. They're really good in that respect. So some really good quality sun-dried olives would be beautiful in your breakfast as your kind of your fat source, and lots of antioxidants as well. So now getting on to green smoothies. So green smoothies are really popular, but I do find in winter they can be a little bit cooling. So for me personally, green smoothies just don't work for me in winter. They're a bit too cooling. They make me feel a bit tired. They make me feel a bit hungry. But for you, they might work. So you just work out if they work for you, if it's a good thing for you to do. If it's not, then just do something more savory. Or if you can have time to heat up a little bit of a soup, a little bit of a stew. Sometimes I've had leftover dal in the morning. You know, you can sort of play around and see what works for you, and use leftovers and just reheat, and you can do that really quickly. So green smoothies, if you're going to do a green smoothie, remember you need to prioritize. So the green smoothie needs to be more, it needs to have fat in. So the fat could be 1/4 of an avocado. So Jackie, yes. So toast will spike your blood sugar. So I would recommend not doing toast unless you're somebody that says no, I am going to do toast. So if you're somebody that really is against doing other options, toast is kind of like the last option. If you're somebody that's against doing other options, you know, the savory options, the green smoothies, you can do toast. You're better off doing something like a buckwheat toast or a gluten-free toast, and not the gluten-free from the supermarkets because that has lots of stuff added. You know, going to a health food store and getting a really good quality gluten-free, and you'd want to put on it either nut butter, avocado, or regular butter to at least create a bit more of a meal, or have an egg on top or something like that. But generally toast, I wouldn't recommend toast as the best breakfast option because you'll just get hungry. You know, if you have a bit of toast in the morning, or if you have some a croissant, or if you have a muffin, you're probably more likely to be hungry and crave things. So it will spike it a little bit. So if you want to do toast because you really don't want to do anything else, that's fine, but just layer it up with some bit more fat or a bit more protein. So with a green smoothie, you want to make sure that you're adding some avocado, or some coconut product for the fat. You want to make sure you're having it, priority is regular filtered water. If you need to sweeten your green smoothie up, you can sweeten it up with a little bit of coconut water, remembering that coconut water is dampening and it is sugar, so just use it if you need it for the flavor. Also add protein, so you could add, for protein, I would add a protein powder simply because using nuts and seeds, you're getting still a bit too much starch. So if you're vegan, I would use hemp, or I would use rice, you know, Sun Warrior or hemp. If you're fine with meat products, I would use a collagen protein, so a hydrolyzed collagen protein, like Great Lakes Green Collagen Protein, Vital Greens Collagen Protein, or Bulletproof Collagen Protein, because it's a pure protein. So that's if you're okay with animal products. If you don't want to do animal products, I would do a nice rice protein like Sun Warrior or hemp. Hemp's actually got a lot of nutritional benefit, you know. There are lots of vitamins and great essential fatty acids in there, so I would use that. And then you can start layering up if you want to layer different things in there. You could put chia seeds in there. You could put some almonds in there. You could put some bee pollen in there if you wanted. You could put some spirulina in there. You could just start layering it up with a few different things and seeing how you go. So that's kind of the protein. And then just add a little bit of fruit. Add half a green apple, half a banana, you know, maybe some pumpkin. You could add pumpkin if it was baked, I suppose. That would be the starch. So if you add pumpkin, that would be the starch component. But you know, you could add some pineapple. I love doing a green smoothie. I love a green smoothie with a little bit of green apple, a little bit of pineapple, and then using some mint. Oh, I just love using mint in my green smoothies. So you can put herbs in there. In wintertime, if you do like doing green smoothies, you could add some ginger. You could add things to warm it up. Cinnamon is wonderful through it. I'm actually doing ginger at the moment. I've got liquid herbs. I put ginger in my water. Oh, it's beautiful. I can just feel it warming up my body so nicely. So really, really good. Just the ginger is the best thing to do. If you haven't seen my metabolic tonic, it's on one of my blog posts. And it's, you know, ginger, cayenne, lemon. It's a really beautiful mix, perfect for your metabolism and perfect for first thing in the morning. Yep, sourdough, quinoa bread, pop either a bit of butter, pop either a bit of avocado, a little bit of nut butter on there, just to make it a little bit more filling. Halloumi is okay. If you know you're okay with dairy, you could have some halloumi or some cheese in the morning, but that's if you know you're okay with dairy and it doesn't cause any inflammation and you don't have any thyroid or autoimmune conditions, because the casein in the dairy can cause inflammation. There was one, okay, so some people don't like breakfast. Some people aren't hungry. Some people don't want to eat. Some people feel nauseous in the morning. If you're just one of those people and you really don't want to eat breakfast, don't feel you have to. But what I want you to just make sure, I just want you to make sure that not eating breakfast is not affecting you. So it's not affecting your energy, it's not affecting your blood sugar, it's not affecting your adrenals. So just make sure that you feel okay not eating breakfast. And what I would do, I would have like a little bit of tea or a little bit of coffee or a little bit metabolic or some herb tea or some rooibos tea, and I would put a teaspoon of coconut oil in there. Just so you're telling your body it's okay, there is food, there's nutrition, and I'm having that, and you can do that. Particularly if you're going to work or you know you're going to have a stressful day, you need to give your body a little bit of fuel. And it's also peace of mind for your body. It's telling your body it's okay, there's food, there's no famine, it's okay. Here we go, here's a bit of fat. Your body goes, whoa, there's fat, whoa, there must be tons of food around, we're all good. We'll keep on doing what we need to do. So if you're one of those people and you don't want to eat until 11 or 12, either because you're fasting or because you don't like it, I would just put a little bit of coconut oil in your herb tea or in your metabolic tonic, because that goes in there. It's wonderful to have. A client came to me last week and she said she uses my metabolic tonic because she doesn't want to eat before she goes for her run in the morning. So instead she has the metabolic tonic and she loves it because it settles her tummy because of the ginger and a little bit of the coconut oil and gives her the energy she needs to do the run. So maybe just something like that in the morning if you don't feel like eating first thing. So We've talked about just protein options, going through, you know, the different meats. I mean, any meat, the fish, the sardines, the smoked fish, best vegetarian options, you know, the amaranth, almonds, seeds. You can also use some halloumi or something if you know you're okay with dairy. For your green smoothie, make sure you're adding a bit of protein just so it sustains you longer. And don't forget your fats, don't forget your olives, don't forget your avocados, don't forget your coconut products, because those fats will also help sustain you through the morning in creating your breakfasts. So I would go away and I would have a little bit of experiment. What I would do if I was you, and this is what I do, I would spend the next, you know, 5 to 10 days just having different breakfasts, just experimenting. You know, one day maybe just having some toast, the next day having some oats, maybe having a green smoothie, maybe having a savory, and just keep track, write notes, keep track of how you're feeling. Really, really nut down what makes you feel good. What breakfast keeps you energized until lunchtime? What breakfast makes you feel good? What breakfast makes you feel satisfied? What breakfast is really quick and easy to do? What breakfast do you enjoy? And then you can sort of get it nutted down to a few different ones, because ideally you don't want to have to be making these decisions every single day. What have I got? There's nothing in the cupboard. What should I do? Where should I go? You want to kind of the morning to be easy for you. You want to go into it with ease, and you want to be prepared, because the better you are prepared for breakfast, you know that it will help with stresses in the day. So I put it to you to just go away, just try some different breakfasts, try some different things, some options I gave you. You know, a savory kind. So we've got sausage with zucchini with half an avocado. You can mix that up. You could next day you could do an egg with maybe some avocado with some sweet potato. You could do just some sauteed vegetables with egg. You could do an omelette. You could do leftovers from dinner. You could do a little bit of a vegetable soup if you wanted. You could do a chia pudding. You could do a green smoothie, amaranth porridge, and coconut yogurt with nuts and seeds. What else? You could do some halloumi, or use some halloumi with some avocado. So a few different options. So I would go away and I would try some different options over the next sort of 5, 7 to 10 days. Diarise it, how you feel, how it makes you feel. And that will give you a good indication of what will suit you and how you feel. And you can even try waking up one morning and just having some fruit and actually noting how quickly you get hungry. You know, how quickly after just having fruit for breakfast do you get hungry? So I hope that helped. I know there were lots of questions. I had been getting lots of emails, and I know a few of you put questions on the wall about the best protein options. So I practically covered all of the good protein options for breakfast, but please don't remember fats for breakfast, and also to add a little bit of carb if you need it. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you got some great tips for that. It was great to see you on here, and thanks so much for all the questions. Thanks Jackie, thanks Linda. And thanks Erin. Don't bin the oats yet. Finish them and then start again tomorrow. Thanks out for those that joined today, and for those that are watching this back. So have a fantastic day, and please feel free, pop in the comments what breakfast seemed to suit you, what works best for you, what are your goals, because it really does depend on your goals, and then I can give you some assistance with breakfast. You know, if it's weight loss, it might be something different to if you're trying to do something else. So feel free to put those in the comments. So I'll see you next week. Bye.